So however you'd like to begin, you might want to take a comfortable seat. I have some blocks with me. You're at home, so you could grab a pillow and put a pillow under your seat. A lot of the requests I saw this morning were for something that's grounding or mindful. So I think we could all use that right now as things feel a little crazy. So we're going to focus on some strong standing balance pose, or some strong standing poses and some balance poses. Class will be just about 1 hour because I learned the other day that Instagram Live shuts you down after 1 hour. So to not have to interrupt and restart, we'll just do an hour class. Stay as long as you like. Today's class will be just like a little bit more beginner intermediate. It shouldn't be too difficult, but do what you can. Thanks for joining. Again, okay, we'll take a comfortable seat and get started. So take a moment to notice sounds that you can hear around you. We've all been sort of, well, I don't know, if you're like me, I've had way more screen time during these quarantine days than I do normally. I've had a lot of conversations with different people, and even though we've been kind of staying in one place, it's felt frantic at times. So while we open up this morning, just allow yourself to notice the parts of you that are touching something. So notice your shins touching the floor, your feet. Notice where your ankles might be crossed into your legs, or if you're sitting some other way, just notice what's touching the ground. Notice the weight of your sitting bones on your block, or on your pillow or the floor. Allow your shoulders to drop away from the ears. And see if you can tune into a little lift at your pelvic floor. Yoga calls that Mula Bandha. So it's just this slight engagement of the pelvic floor muscles. And from that space, can you feel your spine lengthen upward? So it feels like there's this lift from the inside or from the midline moving upward, and then the rest of the body, the shoulders, the arms, the hands, can all relax downward, kind of hanging heavy off the skeleton. And then start to move your breath a little bit deeper. Allow your inhales perhaps to be breathing into a count of 3 or 4, and your exhales a little longer than that, maybe exhaling 4 or 5 or 6. Take a moment to do a few breaths where your exhale is longer than your inhale. If it feels good at the end of your slightly longer exhale to just take a pause in the breath. So a pause with your breath out, a pause into that emptiness. Allow yourself that little moment of stillness. And just notice how good it feels to be cultivating a moment of stillness amidst a wild time. And something I've been thinking about with my own yoga practice during this time is just that the world can really be wild and crazy all around us. Everything's shifting right now on a daily basis, and nothing feels super stable, but our place of stability can be somewhere inside of us. So with my own practice, I've been focusing on feeling that calm, stable place inside of myself. I've been focusing on that long exhale and at that emptiness at the end of the exhale, knowing that there's this zone of safety inside of me. There can be this zone of stillness as long as I go there inside of me. So we'll just let that be our focus this morning, cultivating a grounded, stable place inside of ourselves. So we'll bring our hands together at the center of the heart. Take a big breath in here. And with your exhale, just bow your head into your hands. You might put that little intention into your heart this morning of creating a still, calm place inside of ourselves. And as you're ready from here, we'll move out to a child's pose. So you can take any props you have off of your mat. We'll turn to our shins. You can take your knees wide or closer together. That's just sort of a personal preference. If you take the knees wide, we'll feel a little more spinal extension. If you draw the knees together, you'll get a little bit more flexion. So whatever feels good to you this morning, and then walk your arms out and forward. You can place your forehead on your mat and continue with those breaths where the exhale is slightly deeper. So inhaling, and then as you exhale, exhaling slightly deeper than your inhale. Just allow yourself to feel the mat underneath you. Feel your weight on the floor and ground down here. Just another breath. Good. We're going to walk our hands out to the left side. As you walk your hands out to the left, you can put your right hand on top of the left, press down, and then slide your right rib cage out to the right side. So you should feel a nice opening through the right side body. You can even melt your right armpit towards the ground. Hey Josh, will you do me a favor? Can you go over there to my phone and just press that OK button? Good. You can also walk your left arm out to the side. You can press the left fingertips into the floor and twist a little bit more to your left, allowing that right armpit to sink down. Good. Walk your hands through center, and then same thing off to the other side. Walk your hands to the right. You can place your left hand on top of the right palm, and then let your left armpit melt towards the floor. So you're feeling a big stretch underneath the armpit on the left side. That's your lat muscle. You're feeling that all the way down the left rib cage and side body. Big inhales, big exhales. And you can walk your right fingertips to the right, press down and turn your chest even more to the right, allowing that left armpit to melt. Creating a little bit more spinal twists. Good. Walk your hands through center here. Okay, we're going to press our palms down, tuck the toes, and we'll lift up and back just for a quick downward facing dog. Stretch your heels to the floor. Let your chin dip in towards your chest and look between your thighs. See if you can bring in stability here. So you might need to move around for a few seconds. But as you're able, just press your palms, press your feet, and see if you can kind of still and silence your body. Remember, we're taking time and breaths to cultivate this inner place of stillness. So root down and stay. Only thing moving is your breath. Good. We're going to walk our feet forward from here. Take your feet wide on your mat, and we're going to squat. So if you can, I'll turn towards you. If you can, try to keep your heels down for your squat. If that's hard, take your feet a little bit wider, and you might bring your elbows up to your knees. Okay, so you're going to root your heels down, and with your elbows, kind of press the knees open. If you're able to squat with your heels down, great. Press the knees open with the elbows here. If you do have a block at home, you could take that block and place it underneath your seat. Okay, so Malasana pose. Let your tailbone tuck under and forward and lift the sternum bone up. Feel the strength of your legs. You can engage the glutes to open the knees slightly wider. Press your feet to the floor and lift the heart. Breathe. Okay, from here we're going to take right arm to the ground. You can reach your left arm up to the sky. You can look up. Keep your left foot rooting into the floor. So again, theme today is grounding. We want to feel the parts of our body that touch the floor, our feet, when our hands touch, and really notice that contact. And if you wanted to bind around your leg here, you could take a little bind. It's kind of early in the class, but if you feel good for that, go ahead. And getting into the hips on that right side, and then we'll switch. Take your left fingertips to the ground. That left arm can go inside the knee. And take your right arm up. And just big stretch to the right side body here. You can look up. And if you want to bind around the leg, you could go ahead. Good. And then release through the hands. Bring your hands to the floor and bring your knees together at center. So now a table pose with your thighs touching. Squeeze your inner thighs together. We're going to drop our right hip towards the floor. You can just let it hover off the ground. And then swing your hips up through center and off the other side. Good. Do that 2 more times each side. Inhale through your center. Exhale as you drop your hip to the right or left. So again, working through some outer hip opening and side body opening. Good. We'll come through center here. Now take your knees wide. Drop your belly towards the floor and inhale for cow pose, looking up. And exhale, draw your belly in, forehead towards your belly for cow. Belly down on your inhale. Good, and exhale. One more round. Cow pose. Shoulders can draw back away from the ears, widen the thighs. And then exhale, cat pose. And we're going to kick our right leg back here. And draw into the midline, squeeze your inner thighs together, really activate through your belly, and then reach your left arm up. So we're going to work with some balance poses today. This will be our first balance pose. Keep your gaze steady and down at the ground. Hug into the midline. Again, feel everything that's pressing the floor. Press a little bit harder. Good, and then breathe. So just easy breaths. Right, creating stability, creating a sense of grounding. Reach for one more. Good. Place everything back to the floor. Tuck your toes and we'll stretch out for a downward facing dog. This time, lift your right leg up and back. Hug the inner thighs towards the midline. You can look back at your left thigh. Try to press evenly through both palms. Kick that right heel up and back. Good. And then we're going to place everything down to the floor again. Good. Press your left hand to the floor, kick your left leg back, and reach your right arm forward. I don't have a name for this pose, but one of my clients calls it bird dog, so we're going to call it bird dog. Engage your belly in towards your spine. Hug both your arm and your inner thigh towards the midline. You can take a steady gaze down at the floor. Feel your breath in your back ribs. All right, so this class is about slowing down and creating a sense of inner stability. So can you feel a sense of stillness inside and in your mind while you breathe here for one more breath? Good. We'll place everything down to the ground. Downward facing dog. Once you root your right heel, we're going to lift the left leg. Keep your inner thighs hugging towards the midline. Instead of opening that left hip, we're going to keep it square towards the ground. Press through your heel. Lengthen through the back. One more breath. Good. From here, step your left foot all the way through top of your yoga mat. Okay, so we're coming towards a kind of a runner's lunge position. Press weight into your feet. Feel the inner thighs hug towards the midline. And then gazing down, press into your left foot. Step that right foot up top of your mat. Lengthen your spine forward here with an inhale. Good. In our first Uttanasana of the day, big opening for the legs and for the back body. Let your head hang. You can shake through the head and neck. The shoulders can move up the back towards the waist while the head hangs heavy. See if you can take a breath you can feel all the way through your back body, all the way through your spine. On an inhale, we're going to lengthen forward. You can press hands to the floor or your shins. Press the feet down, draw the belly in, shrug the shoulders back. And we're going to take our hands to the floor, step your left foot back. Okay, so that same kind of runner's lunge on the right side now. Root the feet down. Maybe there's barely weight in your fingertips, maybe none at all. Really press the feet to the floor. Feel your legs start to activate and turn on. Good. Place your palms. We're going to step that right foot back to a plank pose and we'll lower slowly all the way down to your mat. Take your time as you lower, right? We practice patience and slowing down this morning. And on an inhale, cobra pose. So you could take this as low or as high as you're comfortable. And as we exhale, we're going to come back down and do that 2 more times. So use your breath. With your inhales, we'll lift up, high cobra, maybe even upward facing dog. Exhale, we'll lengthen forward and lower. 1 more time on your own breath. Good. We're going to press back for a child's pose. This time, bring your knees together. Let your spine round over your legs. Good. So we get that flexion I mentioned earlier. Let everything settle for a second. As you exhale, maybe you can exhale a longer exhale and pause for a second at the end of your breath. Good. Coming forward, we'll take downward facing dog again. You can make your way from your down dog any way you like to the top of your yoga mat. So maybe a long walk, maybe you're floating forward. Okay, halfway lift and lengthen. Really press your feet to the floor and ground your sitting bones towards your heels. So the hamstring's active here instead of overstretched. As you exhale, fold towards your legs. You can round your forehead in towards the shins. We're going to take 1 full extra breath here. Good. Root your feet to the ground. Soft bend in the knees as we come up. Inhale, reach to the sky. Good. And exhale, hands to your heart. Take 1 breath, standing meditation. Let everything get quiet. Good. So we're going to work these strong step backs today into standing poses. So we'll create balance the whole time while we transition. Root into your right foot. You can bring your hands to prayer and then lift your left knee up towards your chest. Good. If it works for you to interlace your fingers and pull that knee up a little bit higher, you could. Really drive your right heel into the floor. Feel the front of the right thigh lengthening. Good. So again, those pelvic floor muscles, see if you can engage pelvic floor and low belly. And we're going to transition this left leg slowly back all the way to your back of your mat. Go as slow as you can. And then tap your toe down and your heel down. Our legs will be on one line here, heel to the arch of the back foot. And we're going to open the arms up for warrior 2. Good. Let your pubic bone draw in and up. Let the tailbone be heavy. Good. And notice the strength of both legs while you press your feet into the floor. Can you feel the texture of the yoga mat on your feet? If your hands are extended and really, engaged or aggressively extended, soften your hands, soften your shoulders. Good. Where does that grounded, soft place exist inside of you? Is that in your heart? Does it feel like it's in the legs? Right? Where is that sense of inner stability? Take one more breath. Okay, with our inhale, we're going to turn that right arm forward, lean back. As we lean back, try not to dump into the left side body. So lift up and out, then lean back, and the whole time make sure you can still breathe. Good. We're going to straighten out that front leg, giving it a break for a moment. Reach your right hand just behind your shoulder blades, and then take your left arm up. You can grab your elbow. See if you can work that arm a little deeper behind the shoulders and press the head into your your forearm. We're going to re-bend our front knee and re-extend that right arm and take elbow to the knee. So this will be side angle pose. You could definitely go in a little bit deeper, maybe touching the floor. If you have a block, this is a great place for a block. Good. Press extra energy into your back leg, and then take your top palm straight up to the sky. Turn your palm towards the front of your yoga mat and extend that arm over your ear. Good. Really reach through the back heel. And again, feel this deep grounding sensation through the feet and through the legs. Let your breath feel easy. Make sure you find a moment to be still in each pose. So moment of stillness, one more breath. And with your inhale, pull yourself up to stand, bring those hands to your heart, walk your back foot in a little bit, and then turn forward into that right foot, lift your heel, lean way forward, and send that left knee back up. Can you bring it all the way through center? Ending where we began, pull that knee up towards the chest. Good, and then place that foot to the floor. Nice. Good, take a breath of standing meditation. Notice how different your legs feel. Good, so we're gonna ground down into our left leg. I'll turn towards you for this one. We're gonna take a tree pose. So take that right foot into the thigh, maybe heel to the ankle, maybe foot on your calf. So all kinds of choices for where that foot goes. Now hug into the midline. So squeeze that foot into your thigh, press palms together at your heart. Yeah, and then once that's all done, engage the pelvic floor. Try to grow an inch to the top of your head. Good. Again, take a steady gazing point and cultivate for yourself this sense of stability inside of you. Maybe your exhales continue to be a little bit long. Maybe you continue to take slight pauses at the top of the inhales or end of the exhales. If you want, arms could reach up. So let's see if we can transition this right into our second side. Bring your right knee forward, lift that knee up. Just like we did before, you can interlace your fingers around the shin and pull that knee up into the chest. You stay, I'm gonna move. Good, so pull the right knee up into the chest, drive the inner left heel to the floor. Good, and then we're gonna step this right foot back. Again, see if you can do that so slowly. The more you shift your chest forward or arms forward, the more your center of gravity balances. Reach that foot back. I'm gonna switch on my mat. You'll take your toe to the ground, heel to the ground for warrior two. Okay, you can let the arms float up. This front thigh is in a slight external rotation. Let your knee point over the middle of your foot. Feel this big opening through the thigh on the left side. Take your gaze forward. Notice your feet on the floor. So part of the theory of focusing our gaze is that it focuses the mind. So can you look forward towards your front fingertips or maybe just a little bit past? Lock your eyes into one point and let the mind focus while you breathe for 2 more. And turn your left palm to the sky. And then take that arm up and back. Good. For Exalted Warrior, again, try not to just dump into the back ribs. Lift up first. So there's length coming through both sides of the body. And then we lean back. The right hand can touch down to the right thigh. If you want to work your core a little harder, maybe you don't place a lot of weight in the back hand. Again, did you fix your gaze? Great, we're going to press the front leg straight. Take your top palm, place it between your shoulder blades on your back, and then reach up with your right hand, grab left elbow, and draw the elbow in a little more. Press your head into the forearm for a little stretch of the left tricep. Take a breath here. We're going to re-bend our left knee. Okay, you can reach left arm forward and take elbow to knee on this side. Again, other options if you want to go deeper, fingertips to the ground. Maybe you have a block for your hand. I'm going to take my elbow to the knee. Now instead of letting the hips collapse towards the floor, let the inner back thigh feel buoyant. So that back inner thigh is lifting up away from the earth, and press that heel down. You can reach your top palm up, turn your palm towards the front of your yoga mat. Reach that arm over the ear. Try to work with the same muscular effort in both legs. And again, if you fix your gaze for a few breaths, let the mind steady. On an inhale, reach that top arm back. Pull yourself up to stand. You can bring hands to the heart. Walk your back foot in a few steps and then turn forward. As you turn forward, lean way into the left foot, shift your weight, and then reach your right knee up and through. Can you lift that right knee through center? Maybe even interlace your fingers around the shin. Stand tall, press your left heel to the floor, shoulders down. Good. Place 2 feet to the floor. Okay, we're going to ground down through the right side, and then take your left foot to tree, heel to ankle, foot to the calf, or foot above your knee on your thigh. Good, so find what works for you there, and then hug in. So we have a tendency to counterbalance like this. My hip counterbalances out to the side, and I can kind of lay into the joint. But instead of that, I want you to pull that inner thigh towards center, so the right leg is really grounded and up and down from the floor. Engage the pelvic floor. Try to grow an inch to the top of the head. And if you want to extend further, arms can reach up towards the sky. And so today's class is about creating our own ground. Okay, kind of putting ground under our feet, putting a stable place inside of our mind or hearts. So we practice a few balance poses to really drop into that sense of stability. When you're ready, bring that knee through center. You can place that foot to the floor. Okay? And so you're probably at the top of your mat. If you're not, stepping to the top of your yoga mat. Okay. With 2 feet on the floor, let the legs relax, glutes relax, shoulders relax. Again, 1 breath, standing meditation. You might notice sounds you can hear around you, or just feel the sensations in your feet and your legs. On an inhale, reach your arms up. Good. With an exhale, deep fold, Uttanasana. We're going to take a little flow into our next sequence. Let your forehead tip in towards shins. And on an inhale, unfold your spine, shrug your shoulders away from the ears and lengthen. On your exhale, bend your knees, place your hands to the floor. You can step back or jump back to a plank pose. Okay, extra challenge this morning if you want to. Bend your elbows slow, lower so slow, so slow. Good, so slow all the way down to the ground or hovering. And then inhale to your choice of cobra, maybe upward facing dog with the hips off the floor. In upward facing dog, if you're there, really press your feet to the floor and anchor your tailbone down. Good, on our exhale, we'll roll over the toes, downward facing dog. If you need a child's pose instead, take 3 breaths here. Down dog or child's pose. If you can, in whatever pose you've chosen, let yourself drop into complete stillness for your next breath. Good. We're going to start this time on our left side, so lift your left leg up and back. If you'd like to keep that leg straight but open the hip, we'll try that. Keep the inner right thigh rooting down. Try to turn your outer right thigh towards the back corner of your mat. Good, and we'll sweep that knee out towards the left armpit to bring it forward. Good, tap there. And then bring that knee into center, step it all the way forward, and root your feet down to a lunge. We're gonna keep our right heel up for this one. On an inhale, reach your arms to the sky. Good, let the low belly tone in. Okay, so soften the shoulders down the back, feel a lift through the crown of the head. That right knee could be bent slightly. You could straighten the leg if the flexibility is there. Either one will work. We're just gonna take one more breath here. Now really root down through your feet. And we're gonna reach our right arm forward. So take a forward lean, press into your right heel, reach that right arm out. Lengthen through the right ribs, and then we're going to take elbow across the knee, so twisted side angle pose. Be my guest if you'd like to drop your back knee to the floor. So a little more stable version of this pose. If you'd like to take the back knee down, otherwise keep that back leg up and work the inner thighs hugging towards the midline. Good, so I would say this is a standing balance pose because we have to work really hard to balance ourselves laterally here. Fix your gaze to increase your sense of stability, so find a drishti. Good, one more breath. Okay, now really press down through the feet. Get the quads working. Lift your elbow off your knee. Re-extend your arms up to the sky. Huge work for that left leg, good job. And on our exhale, we'll touch down. Okay, we're gonna step that left foot back, plank pose. If you like that extra challenge of a super slow lower into chaturanga, go ahead, maybe you take a few push-ups. Inhale to an up bend of your choice. On your exhale, downward facing dog. You can gaze back towards your thighs. Try to slow your heart rate down again with deep exhales. And on an inhale, take your right leg up and back to the sky. This time we're going to open the right hip to the side. See if you can do that and keep your legs straight. Turn your outer left hip back. Press the inner right heel upward. Good. And then we're going to bend the knee and sweep it around towards your right shoulder. Pause. Good. And then step that foot through center. Pull the knee towards your chest and all the way through to a lunge. We're going to keep the left heel up for this pose. Press down through your feet. Find your legs. Find the earth. And on an inhale, reach the arms up. Try to let your whole body work evenly. So work in the back leg as much as the front. Work your core muscles. And then let what you don't need relax. So let the face relax and the shoulders, maybe even soften through the hands a little bit. And we're going to bring our right hand to right hip and reach your left fingertips forward. So lean in. We're making somewhat of a diagonal line from the back heel to the crown of your head. Reach through your left fingertips. Good. Lengthen through the left ribs, and then as we exhale, start to rotate. Take elbow to knee. Remember, you can definitely drop your back knee to the floor if that suits you. Good. Press your palms together. Squeeze the inner thighs towards the midline here. Good. Keep drawing the inner thighs towards center. Keep feeling the feet on the ground and root down. Did you pick a steady gaze? Notice how it focuses the mind to just look at one thing. Okay. Plug that elbow off of your knee, so unplug. Touch your fingertips to the floor. And we're going to step our right foot back, plank pose. Again, you can lower slowly, maybe take a couple extra push-ups, pause. And inhale to an upward facing pose of your choice. And on your exhale, child's pose this time. Take a little rest. You can turn one ear towards the ground, so look to one side. It's a little passive stretch for your neck. You can turn your gaze the other way, stretch the neck the other side. We're going to lift back up to our downward facing dog. From down dog, you can take a walk, run, or jump, top of your yoga mat. Halfway lift with your inhale. And on your exhale, fold Uttanasana. Good. In breath, we're going to reach all the way to the sky. Good. And exhale, hands to heart. Let the legs relax. Let the tailbone relax. And again, take this moment of standing meditation, just a mid-class pause. Feel your exhale go all the way down through your feet into the floor. Okay, so repeating something we did earlier, we're going to press our right foot to the ground and then lift your left knee. We're going to grab a hold of that left knee with both hands and pull that knee towards the chest. Okay, again, instead of counterbalancing with the right hip, pull that right hip to the midline, engage your right inner thigh. Good, so we're going to take left hand to the left knee, right hand can go to hip. Tone the belly here, and we're going to open this leg to the side. Okay, very flexible. If you can grab your toe, you could take a Padangusthasana balance variation, which would look a little more like this. Okay, feel free, but definitely feel free just to grab the knee and hold there. Okay, so if this is feeling good so far, again, we're hugging into the midline with the right thigh. We're engaging pelvic floor. You could reach your right arm out to the side. Okay, if you wanted to journey a little further from there, you could even shift your gaze. Again, so changing that drishti is a huge part of our stability out to the right. Once you move your gaze to the right, lock in and let the mind settle by settling the gaze. Breathe. Good, bring that knee back to center. As you're ready, place that foot to the floor. See if you can just place your feet to the ground. I know that right glute is probably screaming, but just let that leg release just by breathing. root your left foot into the ground. As you're ready, lift your right knee. Okay, we'll interlace our fingers around the shin. Drive the left heel into the floor and hug the inner left thigh towards the midline. We'll hold our hip here and open right knee to the right side. Okay, again, if you took a different variation last time, you could extend that leg. Feel free to do that. Okay, I'll demonstrate the easier version. Okay, keep the pelvic floor engaging all the way up through the spine to the crown of the head. And if you want to take this further, you can reach your left arm out to the side. You can gaze to the left. Right, all the little twitches and movements of the left ankle are totally normal. So can we learn to balance amidst those subtle changes? Can we cultivate this inner sense of stability while our limbs, our extremities, maybe even the world around us are all moving? Steady your gaze to the left, one more breath. Good, we're going to bring the legs in. Hug that right knee back into the chest, and then set the right foot down. Okay, so I know I'm asking a lot to say, try not to shake out the legs, but can you just place your feet to the floor, maybe hands at prayer, and take a breath, take a deep exhale all the way down through the legs. Okay, so from the top of our mat, on an inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Good, on an exhale, we're going to lower hands all the way down to the ground. Halfway lift, and then we're going to step it back, just do a table pose again. And really easy, we're going to shake out, now we'll shake out through the right hip. So bend the knee, we'll take a couple hip circles on that right side. We've done a lot of work in the legs already today. And you can place your right knee down, circle the left. Okay, so seated, I'm going to take my I'll take my right knee forward in front, and I'm going to bring the left foot over, and this time working to stack the legs towards Gomukhasana. So my knees will stack together at center best you're able. If the legs don't cross up in this way, you can take your bottom leg straight instead. That's going to make it a little more of a hamstring stretch. You will still feel some stretch through the glute. So both knees bent or one leg out, and here we're going to lift and lengthen and then take a fold forward over the knees. If you have a block or a water bottle or something, you could set your hands or forearms to it. You might be able to set your forehead to that block. Do what you need to do here. So maybe relaxing through the shoulders, relaxing through the back of the neck. If you need to take a big exhale, sigh out of your mouth, you could breathe that way. Try to draw your breath all the way down into your hips. So each inhale creating space around the glutes, space in the hip joints, and each exhale just really letting it all go. Find places in your body that don't require tension and try to let that tension go. We're going to root down through the hips, start to peel yourself up and out. Okay, we'll just lean back into the hands, and you can just switch the legs. Okay, so left leg will tuck underneath this time. Again, straight leg version is an option. And I'm going to walk my right knee over the top. Good. Okay, so from here, both my sitting bones rooted to the floor. I should mention, I'm sorry I didn't say it on the first time, you could sit on a block for this pose as well, or sit on a pillow, something to lift the hips up so you can fold forward a little more easily. So we'll lengthen through the spine here, and then as we exhale, folding any amount. Perfectly fine to stay up here if the hips feel tight. If that's where your hip flexion ends, absolutely fine to be right here. You could let the forehead drop in slightly. And again, it's up to us to really let go of tension we find in the body or tension we find in the mind. Some days with this whole quarantine process, I've lost that battle, like unable to let go of tension in the mind around what's happening. But just like a moment-to-moment practice. Right now it all feels pretty good. So we can just use this yoga practice to practice a skill, right? A skill of letting go, a skill of breathing through tension, a skill of finding those places of tension, identifying them and letting them go. Okay, we can practice that skill of creating an inner sense of stability. A couple more breaths here. Find what you can release. On our inhale, we're going to come on up. I'm really going to try to wrap up this class before the hour time limit cuts me off. Okay, we're going to pull our knees into chest, lying on your back. And then set your feet as wide as your mat. Okay, so feet are on the outer edges of the mat, and give yourself a little windshield wiper through the knees. If you want to reach the arms up overhead from here, that can feel really nice. Notice your back body on the floor. Notice your arms on the floor while you release and circle out through the hips. We're going to place our feet to the floor here and lift the hips up for a little bridge pose. You could interlace your fingers underneath you if that works. You can press your palms into the ground. And so root down through the feet. Let your inner thighs rotate towards the floor. The thighs hug the midline just slightly with your knees, feet, or hips width apart. If you need a bigger pose here, you could take Urdhva Dhanurasana. You're at home, right? Do whatever you want. Place your hands up overhead. You might lift up into full wheel. But if this feels good, feel the glute and back body activation, maybe even closing the eyes for one more breath. And slowly lower your hips to the floor. Draw your knees into the chest. Take an easy twist, knees off to the left side. Stretch your right arm out to the right. We'll just be here a moment. Bring your knees up to center, twist them the other way. We'll bring the knees back up to center again. So finishing pose for today, we'll bring the soles of our feet together and let the knees open wide. Supta Baddha Konasana. I'm sure you can't really see this in the video, but I'm going to place the soles of my feet together. Let my knees open wide to either side. If this is uncomfortable for the groin or inner thigh muscles at all, you could place a pillow underneath each knee. Just grab a couch pillow or something. If it feels good, you could reach the arms up overhead and catch opposite elbows. Also, you're at home, so if you need something else, if a headstand or shoulder stand is in your practice, feel free to do something like that. We'll rest here for another, minute or two, and then I'll just leave you guys to take Shavasana on your own. Good. Feel the knees drop open wide. Feel the back of the hips relax. Feel the arms and shoulders relax. Face relaxes. You might notice sounds around you can hear. You might notice the temperature of the air on your skin, on your feet, and your hands. You might just notice your breathing. So I hope you'll take time to stay longer in this pose. Whenever you're ready, stretch out for Shavasana and take a long Shavasana. I'm going to stop the video now. Thanks again for joining this morning. Watch for a schedule coming out later today of different styles of classes I'll present on IG Live this week. Again, the classes are free, but if you feel so moved to make a donation on Venmo, my Venmo is @SoulShapeYoga. That's welcomed as well. But definitely just enjoy the free classes. I'm happy to be connecting with you guys in this way. I look forward to seeing you again sometime this week.